Hello, everybody.
Everybody.
Welcome to the Danter banter.
Hmm.
I see Journey's in the house. How's it going, Journey? Long time no see. And Jordan's in the house. And of course, look who's back, Ken. The hooded. Well, we'll just leave it at that. He's making a face at us right now. You realize that?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't see his face. Oh, there it is. Okay,
Yeah.
go back in the dark. That's too. Yeah, go back in the dark. Go back in the
If
shadows.
Ken committed a crime tonight, the person who does the drawings of it would probably draw a picture of Emperor Palpatine.
Speaking about committing a crime, I didn't realize how dangerous it was. I've seen it done on TV. You score a touchdown, whatever the case is, you throw the ball back in the clown. Not so good in bowling.
No, it does not work in bowling.
Nope. Nope.
I think I am actually probably one of the few people on the planet who have gotten a strike in somebody else's lane.
Speaking about lanes, how's the driving going?
Well, my driving instructor quit.
No.
He's gone. He's done. They weren't paying him enough.
Was the end of the road?
Apparently. Good one. Yeah, no, apparently his job crashed and burned. Luckily, I wasn't driving it.
Oh. Well, there was only one way to go, right?
That's right. He went the wrong way down a one-way street and met his demise.
Yeah. Well,
in other words, just left his job.
It's a tough job. It's a tough job. It's
got to be nerve-wracking. It really does, in a sense. Or do you just succumb to it over time?
Well, you have to have patience. You have to have an understanding of how people learn, because I mean, when I start, my roots are with young drivers. So I mean, and we were in sort of the boom phase when I became an instructor. We were in the boom phase of when we were really starting to expand, and the franchises were really starting to catch, and they were expanding over to Finland and the United States and all that stuff. And we dove heavily into education. So I don't know, Candace, if you did this. It was a questionnaire. It was always a questionnaire in class. It was called Learning Styles. And you go down and you answer these questions, and it would give you a ballpark of whether you're an auditory learner, a kinesthetic learner, or a what's the other one? Anyway, that third one.
Yeah,
I didn't get many students with a third one, but it helped an instructor understand how to approach a student. Whether you learn things by listening, or whether you learn things by hands-on, or whether you learn things by hands-on and doing. And it seemed to help things. What was tough was the frustration of someone not getting it.
Right.
And knowing, and that's where you had to really, I mean, if Gary was here, he'd understand it. Hey, Phil. Hey, Bonnie. He'd understand that it's very frustrating, because it's like, it's easy to us to do that. We take things for granted. And when we try to impose that theory and we think, why isn't this person getting it? It's just, they're not getting it. People just don't have the coordination for it. Mm-hmm. And it's repetitive. It's repetitive. I mean, when you have someone that is a new driver and that can't keep the car straight, which is the biggest problem, you do not take them on a main road. And do not take places for people like that. You see them out there. You see the other driving schools take them out, and you see the driving school, it pulls out in front of you, and it gets up to about 2 kilometers per hour, and that's as fast as it goes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the type of, when I see that, that's what drives me nuts. It drives me nuts more to the instructor than to the student, because what you're seeing is a natural reaction from the student being put in that uncomfortable circumstance and environment. The instructor should have known that student couldn't handle that and never have taken them out into that. That's how accidents happen.
Yeah. No, last week we actually went to a 110-kilometer road.
Oh, so you went on the
One of the
417?
400 ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got one of the parts of the highway, one of the 3 parts of the highway in Ontario that's 110 kilometers an hour. There's one in Ottawa area, one in the Niagara region area, and one out that goes on the 402 to Sarnia, which was I was on today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were playing catch the trucks and pass them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
gotta
This was fun.
you gotta get very comfortable with passing trucks,
We
because
w-
that is scary. When you have a
Yeah.
transport truck
Oh, I
come
had
up
no
beside
problem
you.
with that. But the fun part of last week's training was we went to this deserted country road, and we're going about 80 kilometers an hour, and every so often he'd yell deer, and I'd have to stop the car as fast as I could. So
Oh, neat.
it's like, ABS brake, bang, less than a second.
Yeah, it's called emergency braking, and when I started that, it was called when it was in the program, it was called threshold braking.
We had to do
And-
both.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do threshold braking on an ABS car because you don't know you're doing threshold braking until the ABS kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
right?
the funny
Because
thing
it's on
is-
the threshold of lockup, and then you have to ever so slightly lift your toes up.
Yeah, the funny thing is he complimented everything I was doing last week, but if he was planning on leaving, he probably didn't care. So, it's like, I wonder if his mind was even in it. Wow, that's a great threshold breaking. I've never seen a student do it that well before.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, now I don't believe it.
Well, and what the crazy thing is that, I mean, Ken, this would even go to you as well. But I mean, I have I've got a client who I have just completed training with, and she was back to work with the WSIB, and she's a transit driver. And what was the other client I had? It was in the public service industry, in the public driving and stuff like that. And I said to them, I said, so she's got to go through not a recertification process to get back to driving, because she hasn't been off for 6 months or for a year, but she's got to have a 1-day reacquaintance, because they have the articulate the articulate buses that do this in the center, those types.
Yeah.
And they act differently than a straight bus. But I said to her, I said, so what driver training do you have? And of course, public transits, transport truck companies, the bigger ones, have self licensing authority. So that means that they are granted the right to license their own trainees after they have trained them through the guidelines of what the Ontario Safety League would be, and the Ministry of Transportation would be, and so on and so forth. They don't have to go to the the drive test center and all this and that. It's all done in house. It's called self licensing. But I asked them, and Gary's kicked in now here. Hey, Gary. But I've asked them, I said, so what driver training do you get? And they said, well, we go through the bus driver training and stuff like that. I said to them, I said, did they go to an open parking lot and get the bus going and hit the brakes? She says, no. I said, it would kind of be beneficial for a bus driver to understand the dynamics of that vehicle. In the case that they're traveling, they don't get very fast. They get 60, maybe 70, 40, whatever the case is. But still, just the feeling and the ability to handle it. And what happens to this multi-ton vehicle when I slam the brakes on?
Right.
They don't get that training. It's just the same as you, Ken. The way you would brake in Natasha's Jeep or whatever other vehicle you have at home compared to your is 550 you've got at work?
Yeah, the 550, yeah.
So compared to the 550 with everything else that's on top of that, especially if you're fully loaded, is going to be a total different experience than your personal vehicle, and a different experience to what Candace would have experienced in a personal vehicle on gravel. But this isn't taught. And it's just like, how can you not teach these people about an emergency brake?
Yeah, that's kind of silly, actually.
Yeah. Now, here's the funny thing about the whole G restriction thing. Because when I was trying to clarify with you guys, and I said that I had read somewhere that it didn't really mention about the 400 highways. I was talking about the G2, and I think you guys were talking about the G1. So I think we're talking about completely different things, because I was talking to my instructor and I was saying, well, I'm trying to figure out which highways, once I've got my license here, I can take to avoid all these 400 highways. And he's like, why do you want to do that? I said, because I'm not allowed on them. He says, yes, you are. Once you get your G2, you're allowed on them. In
Yeah,
fact,
when you
he
get your
said,
G2, yeah.
yeah, and he said that when you get your G2, he said when you go in to write for your G, he says they'll actually ask you, have you been on it enough times, because that's part of the whole thing. And I was like, oh, I'm really glad you clarified this, because I had been quite literally, I thought I wasn't allowed to drive at night, and I thought I wasn't allowed on any of the freeways. So I was like thinking, well, okay, what side
Well,
roads can I take to get
the
around?
the G1, if they haven't changed it, you're not allowed to drive
Well, the
anywhere
G1,
between
yeah, you're not allowed
midnight
to
and
G1
6
unless you've
a.m.
got
or
an
something.
instructor.
5
But
a.m.
I thought that was the G2 as well. So I was like, so now I'm glad I found out now, because if in April I'd been driving all these side roads for no good reason, that would have sucked.
Gary's itching to come on. I'm just going to send him a link.
Yeah, when you have G2, there's really no restrictions other than like the alcohol restriction.
Yeah, and I don't drink except
Zero.
for on that one live stream.
Yeah.
So,
And then what is it now, Tim? Is it still 0.5 in your bloodstream? 0.2?
I think it has to do with age,
G2,
though.
For your full G, you're allowed. It used to
0.05.
be, yeah, it
0.05.
used to be like one drink, one shot, or one wine or something like that.
You can't do. Oh my God! Hang on,
Yeah.
Gary.
No, I
You
think with
can't do that.
the
anymore.
G2, there's actually restrictions on people who are under 19. Those are the ones who
Until you're
have
21.
extra restrictions on that. Like, I think them, it's a 0 alcohol level. I think if you're over 19, you don't have that same restriction on the alcohol level. I think you can have like a 0.05 or something crazy like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I'm the type, if let's say I did another drunk stream, I wouldn't drive for a week just to be sure.
Hey, better be safe than sorry.
Well, we used to in class. Oh my God, I've lost our screen. In class, we used to have videos, and one of them was a MAD video, and we used to have a little actually blood alcohol conversion chart back then, and it would say, okay, your weight, how many drinks you've had in how many hours. It had like a flowing chart
Yeah,
of sort,
and it would
and
tell
then
you when
it's
you were safe.
well, no, and then it would say, okay, so here is your blood alcohol level, and then it would say, okay, so assuming that you metabolize, what was it, 15 milligrams per hour, when would you be legal to drive, and when would you have a 0 blood alcohol content to drive? And whether this chart was, because we got asked to stop using it, because I have no idea, but it was, and this was across the country we were using it. But it was, even if it was close, it was interesting to see that, the smallest petite people in the classroom who had even 6 drinks in a time span of until midnight, 1 a.m., really weren't sober to drive until well into the evening of the next day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a great story for you. A little interesting. So I had as a lot of you all know, I do a lot of commercial assessments and a lot of training. And I was working with this corporation. He was a 27-year-old with a G2. Now, needed a little bit of training. That wasn't my obligation. My obligation was to assess to see if they could do what is required to do in their particular firm.
Right.
I passed the keys to the individual. Brand new 2022 Transit van 250, all-wheel drive, nothing fancy. Hand him the keys, show him how to do a pre-trip and a pre-check and everything else. He had taken the key and he put it into the slot. And he says, now what do I do next? I said, you start the vehicle. Well, how do I do that? You turn the key. Well, where's the button? There is no button. You have to manually turn the key. Does the driver take both his hands, reach over to the key, and crank it over? And then let's go. And he says, I that's the first time I've ever started a vehicle this way. Just think about that for a moment. This is what we're working with now on the roadways.
Well, it's the same as if we asked someone to call, if we asked a younger generation to call 911 on a rotary phone, we'd be dead. They wouldn't know how to use the rotary
You
phone.
can start with a fob.
Yeah. It's astonishing me of some of even general physics. I mean, general parking skills. If this is our topic tonight, some of the general parking skills in individuals are just, it's baffled. I mean, setting a bunch of cones up in a parking lot to demonstrate, certain blindside backup parking and site side. They just crush the pylons, just absolutely crush them. And they're supposed to be associated as not just a space, but cars on either side of them. And this is why we set them up with pylons. It's phenomenal. It blows my mind of the individuals that I'm working with these days.
My trainer didn't use pylons. We used real cars.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We went to a parking lot and he was like, I want you to park between these two cars. You're going to have to back in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do that as well.
But, yeah,
No, but how many sessions have you had?
6.
6 doubles or 6 total?
Well,
6 of you.
total.
So you completed
3
6 of your.
doubles.
3 doubles. Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
So you've got to be coming up on your emergency maneuvers, which is where they're going to set pylons up and have you.
That was supposed to be my next lesson.
Yeah.
Whenever that's going to be, it's probably the middle of winter by the.
Oh, that's okay.
That's even better.
This is even better.
Well, this is the way I look at it. Is I'm almost looking at this like a blessing, because if all my lessons are done in November, and I can't take my test till April, it's like the longer these stretch out, the better I think it is for me overall when it comes to the test time.
Yeah,
they'll be fresh.
I was never trained with cones when I took driver's ed.
We didn't mean ice cream cones.
Or, well, pylons, whatever the hell you want to call them.
Yeah, but who did you? Yeah, but not everyone. The only people that I know that do it is DriveWise and Young Drivers.
Mine was through the board of education, the Lamp County, through the school system.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it.
No.
And you had 3 in a car, right?
Yeah.
There was me, him, and one other student.
Yeah, 1 or 2. They'd fill up the car.
Yep. It's called observation time. What a waste.
What we did, my first day was we did a circle check on the car and everything like that. We got in the car and he's like, all right, fire it up. Let's go.
Yep. Simple.
Yeah. We went.
Go ahead.
And then, we were driving in very fast traffic and it was insane. I remember that the very first day taking driver's ed, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was overwhelming.
It's not what it used to be. I just had a person an acquaintance from the old neighborhood knock on our door Monday night, and I trained her one daughter years ago, and now her other daughter's a little bit older and needing to drive, and she says, "Who?" Because they know I haven't been in the driver novice training for a while. Who do you recommend? And I really was really baffled to say. I mean, I had just finished sending my nephew through DriveWise with Julie in Burlington because I trained Julie as an instructor, so I know Julie knows her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I sent her again because I don't know the people at YD. I'm a member of the Oakville Dads group on Facebook, and there was a post today, and they were just ripping another driving school to bits, just saying, where has our customer service gone? And they're referring people to the website, not wanting to talk to people to pose a question to them. And it's like,
there's a disconnect in all businesses. It's not just in the school. If you want to talk about customer service, everyone will push everything to a text or a voicemail. Oh, sorry, a text or an email before they'll even pick up the phone and speak with the client directly.
Yeah. It drives me bananas, and it's no wonder that things go awry with our older generation who are so used to dealing face to face with people, and they have something go wrong at banking or whatever the case is, and they're used to, how come I can't go in and talk to someone live at the bank, and how come I can't do this and that? You know, God help them if they've got to get on the phone and go through all the different queues just to get to someone and then wait on hold for 3 hours, like the government or something like that, you know. But that's what we're faced with, right?
It's frustrating. I know. Fine. Lately, I've been getting a lot more angry at individuals with their stupidity or frustration because, you know, there isn't anyone to talk to or nobody's willing to make any efforts. And something interesting story. So I've used to teach a lot of individuals when I was behind the seat of a car. Now teaching commercial, I mean, you don't see these, you know, the community like I once did. I was at just a local McDonald's ordering a coffee, and the young gentleman behind the till was worried about making his order. And he says, "You'll have to wait a moment. I need to place my order first." I said, "Okay, I'll give you the better of the doubt." I wait a moment. I said, "Okay." I said, "Can I really just place my coffee? Like, I'm sort of in a hurry a little bit. I just want to make a coffee. Like, all I want is a coffee. That's all I wanted." He says, "No, you'll have to wait. I need to get my manager to authorize me first." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." This 6-7 minutes later, the individual walks up. The manager goes, "Hey, hi, Gary. How are you?" One of my students. I taught her many years ago. She's now the manager at McDonald's. And I said, "Oh," I said, "how are you?" She said, "Great." I said, so this young gentleman was just flustered. You could see like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I said, so I gave my spiel and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna trump you one more." I said, so I called out the next district manager. And they're like, "Oh, you know her?" I said, "Of course." I said, "Call her over." He goes, "Oh, no." I said, "Call her over. She's also one of my other clients that I taught how to drive as well." So I thought that was quite entertaining, to be honest. I ended up getting my coffee for free, but I thought it was funny.
Well, I would hope so after all that.
But customer service, right? Customer service.
Yeah, it would have turned into a big whack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there is some other stuff, Gary, that's non-driving related that I just want to sort of touch on
Yeah, for sure.
as well. And that is what's going on. I'll be honest with you, I did not follow the primaries. Candace, what the hell happened in the primaries?
Well,
Florida.
they're still counting.
What?
They're still counting in some places.
Yes.
And then there's some places where it's so close they have to do recounts. So basically going into the primaries, and this is going to tie into the market as well. Going into the primaries, it was supposed to be a slam dunk for the Republicans. The market had priced in gridlock, and we didn't get gridlock. We ended up getting the Republicans didn't do as good as they thought they were going to do. The Democrats did a lot better. They may actually take the Senate, so it may not all go Republican. Okay. So that caused the market to go absolutely bonkers today in the U.S. If you look at the U.S., it was a sea of red. Plus, you had some bad earnings reports that dropped. And plus, everybody's all afraid about the CPI that's dropping tomorrow morning, because then we find out just how bad inflation is down there. And people are thinking it's going to be bad. So the market today just absolutely had a banana fuddling bad time as things just went down.
Were we anticipating this, or were we thinking that the Republicans were going to take?
Everybody had thought it was going to be a slam dunk for the Republicans. That was all priced into the market. And anytime things don't happen the way everybody thinks it's going to happen, that tends to rattle the market.
Yeah.
So now you've got people who are like, okay, well, this is crazy. I'm not going to invest. And now, well, inflation's coming up tomorrow. I'm definitely not going to invest. Because, I mean, if those numbers are bad for inflation, you're going to see you'll probably see a good 5% dump tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then of course, on the side, you also have the whole crypto thing exploding.
Well, that's the other thing that I was getting to as well. I was kind of watching in my peripheral. It's been kind of busy here and stuff, as I'm sure it has been in other people's lives. But I'm watching stuff, and all of a sudden I got a message from Tim Perry, and he goes, "Well, there goes our run at the market with the couple of coins we have." And I said, "What?" Because I'd heard FTX, I'd seen a couple of things about FTX, and I thought, "Oh God, what have they done now?" And because they're the ones that it was around the time when Celsius was going for its ride, and then there was another exchange that went under totally, right? Whatever that one was. And then there were murmurs about BlockFi, and that's when I started hearing the murmurs about BlockFi. I had advice from someone saying, get your stuff out of BlockFi. And I had my whole bag of BTC and ETH in there, and I got it out. And then we find out that BlockFi is in trouble, but FTX has come to the rescue. Now FTX has got a liquidity problem. They're trying to make nice with CZ. Is it CZ at Binance?
Yeah.
Is that what he
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
And CZ's getting shafted by their FTT token or something like this. And now FC's going, and everything's going for hell in a handbasket. And
that really sucks, though, because FTX used to be one of the top tier exchanges.
But
right, they were up there with Binance, and for that to happen, it's insane.
Well, they had Brady, Giselle, Kevin O'Leary was giving them, promoting them and talking about them. You had some big names that were talking about this exchange and talking about FTX, and they're just like us. They're going to lose their stuff too. And what was it? BlackRock had invested in them, and there was 5 or 6 financial investors that were in FTX that said we're totally willing to have a write-off.
One of the teachers' unions had invested in them, so the pension funds, and they lost about $500 million.
That was the Ontario.
I did not hear that.
Ontario Teacher Fund. No wonder they're on strike. They need more money.
Yeah, that would have been CUPE or whatever it's called.
QP. Yeah. No, I take that back. It's not. They're on strike for other reasons, so they got other issues.
This is exactly the reason why a lot of this institutional investment is not going into crypto, because without regulation, this is the crap you get.
Yeah.
It just boils down to it. I mean, I still believe in Bitcoin and crypto overall, but I'm even hesitant right now. I'd be hesitant to get in until we've got some regulation, so that way we know things are going to be run on the up and up.
Yeah, see, crypto used to be pretty reliable until Ethereum came out with smart contracts, and that's when the Wild West really started happening.
How do you mean?
Well, because before you could do smart contracts, you'd have to build your own coin on its own blockchain.
Okay.
So you'd have to spend a lot of money to have that blockchain encoded, and then you would have to mine and everything like that. Now, with smart contracts, you don't have to do all that. You just code it like that, and it's done.
I have to wonder, and it's just an observation, but Binance, what country is it from?
China.
They want dominance. They want control. They're very intelligent people, very, very sophisticated thinking and technology over there. Was this a way of just letting money come into the market and then flushing it all out and taking a lot of hard-earned money with it?
Well,
what's to say Binance isn't going to do the exact same thing? And maybe, just maybe, the SEC and all the government agencies are sitting back going, well, they're obviously sitting back and going, told you so. But it's also flushing out stuff, right? Like, I mean.
Yeah, but Binance hasn't made a buying error at all, where FTX did, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's CZ or CZ, whatever his name is. He's a smart cookie. I don't think he would ever do anything to put Binance into jeopardy, because the company is just worth so much, right?
I guess, but
Binance,
all those other exchanges were worth money too.
The Binance has been around from
years,
early days of BTC, compared to all the other exchanges and networks that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept hearing a clicking sound, and now I know it was a pen, thanks to MC. I was like, "What is?"
I thought it was my dog's tag with my dog running around, so I kept muting it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's definitely I think we're in for a long haul with crypto. I don't think, when have we got the next halving of Bitcoin in 2024?
No idea.
That I don't know.
I'm not sure exactly. I thought it was sooner than 2024. I thought it was in 2023, but I could be totally wrong on that.
Okay, and I don't think we're going to see anything for a couple of years. I think
Until we have regulation, I think people are scared to death of getting into crypto at this point.
Yeah.
Do you still dollar cost in, Tim?
Oh, I've been for my Bitcoin on Shakepay. I have dollar cost average since January 1st into So I started out with $10 once a day, and then I went to $10 twice a day, morning and night, and I'm up to just on the dollar cost averaging. I'm up to 1/10 of a Bitcoin.
Very nice. I started the same project as you by only a few days afterwards. I've been continuous on that $5 on E every single day and $6 on BTC every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone had posted that they thinking that Ethereum might be the play now, and I'm like, I can't see Ethereum starting to be the play when everything else is so much in jeopardy with what they're doing, and Ethereum took so long, and they got close, and they made these promises, all the releases coming out, the hard fork, all this and that, and they never ever made. Well, they finally did, but I mean, it was just like it was like an abusive relationship, teasing.
Well, we're kind of at that point that the best play in crypto right now is to cash out and get a bond.
Yes.
At least that way there, at least your money's not going to go down, and you're going to get a little bit of interest with the coupon on the bond. So
no, but I'm definitely enjoying the 6% on Shakepay.
Yeah, but you only get that for $1,000. After that,
that's right. Yeah,
nothing. So
that was instantaneously. I just put 1,000 in and let it sit there. As long as you don't go under the 1,000 at any point in time, so you always got to keep 1,000 plus every single week.
Is that just for 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months. I'll take it.
Oh yeah.
And now you can stake. You can stake on Wealthsimple too, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. It was interesting. Your video, Candace, on Monday about Canoe. About Canoe, yeah. And it's. Who was talking to me today about the side hustles and stuff like that, and they said that they were kind of like-minded, like we are on this channel and stuff like that, and they said, so what is the side hustle to get into in a recession? What is that side hustle? What is it? Is it painting? Is it power washing, siding, and sidewalks? I don't know.
I don't know more time for taking on anything else, but I don't know what a side hustle is these days. I'm so busy with my front end.
Yeah. Well, I think right now, I mean, side hustle, you probably get a part-time job doing anything you want because there's still labor shortages. That would be the only guaranteed thing. Now, coming towards the end of the year, what I would recommend as let's say you're a photographer, and you take a lot of really nice pictures. Well, you could make blank books and throw them up on Amazon. People expect, or you could take templates with calendars, throw them up on Amazon. A lot of business people still have that physical calendar. And so those sell, and they also make great gifts. So that might be a side hustle idea somebody wants to do. I thought about doing it, but I'm like, I'm too busy as it is.
What is that site that you can, is it called Bubble?
Redbubble?
Is that what it is? Redbubble, where you can put up
T-shirts.
Is it T-shirts? Okay.
Yeah, well, you can make T-shirts. You can make pretty much everything from bath mats to towels, backpacks, clocks. They've got a huge amount there. I mean, I've got a bunch of designs on Redbubble, so every so often I sell a T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's I watched this one guy. He's a do-it-yourself guy. He's actually from Ottawa, and he's got a huge following and stuff. And he
is that Renovision?
Always wears a blue T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
I watch him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of good tips. Yeah.
Well, he said that you could go. He's showing us how to paint and stuff, and how to repair a hole in drywall and stuff. He says, you know what? He says the market is so hot for people that can do this right now. He says you could go out and make $1,000 a day now. And
Yep.
I'm like, $1,000 a day.
Being a general handyman. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Maybe that's what happened to my driving instructor. He watched that video.
MIA.
He
I
quit.
Yeah, that too.
Actually, it might even be my fault because we've been having conversations. I told him about a bunch of resources for day trading, and he's like, I really want to do that, and then he disappears. So.
Well, there's also, just not to bring that back, but there's a lot of instructors are demanding a lot more than they actually should be given per hour, or whatever they do per hour in their training.
I'm surprised that well, I mean, Toronto, Mississauga, that's all of the centers I know with NYD are unionized, and I'm surprised that more big companies are not unionized for driving instructors.
I didn't even know they were.
Oh yeah, they've been for a long time. Jeez,
First to know.
Gotta be at least 15 years, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, the rates that people want now.
Well, you can't. I mean, Candace, what'd you pay for your course?
Gosh,
$1,200?
no more than that.
See?
What?
Oh yeah.
It was about $2,000.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Now that also includes the driving.
Road test.
They give me
Road
the
test
car for
program.
the test as well. So
Oh
Damn,
yeah.
provided
I
there's an instructor available. I mean,
I think I paid $350, and that was almost 30 years ago.
So our community is 850, and we're the highest. That's basic. And then it goes up from there. But basic get you in, get your 10 hours behind the seat and 20 hours in the classroom and all the other stuff in between. Very general basic, 850 plus tax.
Yeah.
And we are the highest in the market. We're the highest in our community.
Yep.
yeah, my classroom part I get to do here at home. I just watch YouTube.
Yeah, we offer that too.
Or not YouTube, but their portal.
The virtual. Yeah, it's incredible. It's I don't know.
Wow.
It's really changed. It's really, and even with what I do in the rehabilitation part of it, I can't charge more because I am actually regulated by the insurance companies.
Oh, I could charge
because
what I
we're
want.
considered a non-registered or non-registered service, which only gets X amount.
Mm.
Do they still have the thing where if you don't get insurance within the first 2 years after graduating, then your certificate's invalid?
No.
Because I know they used to have that.
No. Oh, talking. That reminds me of something that it's on the top of my head. Does anyone happen to know what diesel fuel costs are these days?
No.
I know they're high.
Yeah, they're like 80 cents higher or something.
Do you know how much they are on the East Coast? Found out today.
$3 a liter or something crazy.
Yeah, $3
Wow.
a liter in the East Coast. I was talking to a few gentlemen from Nova Scotia and Newfoundland today. Over $3 a liter.
Most people there, do they not drive diesel because it's easier to start in the winter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous because what is the big oil company down there? It's a family business.
Irving.
Is it Irving?
Yeah. They originated out of New Brunswick.
Yeah, and it's
And
like
oil, and they also have shipyards as well, the Irving shipyards. But
that's right.
That's
right. It's like, how come that's so bloody? Anyway.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is when it went up to $3, it was only a couple of days ago, they actually used something called an interrupter clause because they've got everything regulated there where they can only move the price of gas and diesel once a week unless they have to apply to do an interrupter clause, and they did that with the diesel to bump the price up to $3.
Do you think our provincial here in Ontario, our provincial government is going to hold back or extend the extra 5 cents they're giving us? Or are we going to let it, because it matures in January?
I think it depends on whether or not people make a stink about it. If nobody realizes it's falling off, then they probably won't do anything. And
What was the gist of what Ford brought in and got all of the support workers shit in a twist so bad?
what, that non-withstanding clause?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it was a lot of people looked at it as being him overstepping his bounds, because he basically created a clause where he forced them back to work, and if they didn't go back to work, they were going to charge every individual worker $4,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And the union said, "Don't go back to work." So I don't know where they were planning, how these people were planning to pay for that, but then Ford backed down. And
well, QP would have been billed $500,000 a day as well, additional.
Yeah, there would have been a lot of fines. I mean,
he definitely got a phone call over the weekend because every single union in Ontario would have walked off their job site. That's aviation, that's all transportation, that's everything. He had to back down. He didn't have a choice.
I think he realized pretty quickly that he bit off a lot more than he could chew.
Hey, that shows the power of the union, though. Right there.
It scares me to know how strong those unions are.
When crap goes downhill like that, it's good to belong to a union for that specific reason.
Agree to disagree, but again, I see it on a different side. So it's tough. It's a tough conversation. It's a very touchy conversation. That's almost up there, right next to the pandemic. You almost don't want to touch anything when it comes to it because it can go either way for various different outcomes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I know when I used to be in management, the union was the bane of my existence.
Mm-hmm.
But that was because I inherited a department with some people who had been there forever, who were as lazy as can be. Like, you could any task I gave them, I pretty much would have to come in on my own time and redo the task, because that's how they were, just that bad. And there was no way to discipline them because the union would get in my way every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I tried to get rid of some of these bad people, and
Yeah,
I couldn't.
But you'll find lazy and bad people in every type of job. You always do.
I think what annoyed me the most is that because of the rules of the union, anytime I had extra budget, so extra work, I had to give it to these lazy people first before I could give it to and they'd have to say no before I could give it to the people who would actually get the jobs done. And once I gave it to them and they accepted it, and then they didn't do it, I no longer had the budget to do it, so I would have to come in on my own time and do it myself. Because
I would have taken that rate to the union hall.
What was that?
I would have taken that rate to the union hall.
I went to the union over and I butted heads with them again, and I was like, look, they said there's a rule. They have to be disciplined for the exact same thing 3 times for you to be able to fire them. And I was like, well, yeah, they've been lazy. And they're like, oh, no, but there's slight differences. Don't you see?
Oh, shit.
I'm like, seriously, you're splitting peas here.
Now that's a union that's not a very good union.
No, it was bad. The only time they didn't stand in my way is I had a guy that I got arrested for stealing. And then they just let me fire him. They were like, yeah, we're not going to get in your way on this one.
I mean, it's not over yet. Let's be truthful. I can see another strike happening through the school system yet again. It's going to be a pushback again. He's got to be careful because, as we all know, there are certain tiers to our Ontario. There's only so much money to be given out. And only a few years after we decide to give what we want to give to these particular individuals through the school system, the custodians and the EA workers, EAs, then the teachers are up for maturity. There isn't any more money to be left on the table, and that's the biggest issue that we have to
that's the beginning of private schools right there.
Yeah, but you see,
absolutely.
Here's the big mistake that Ford made. The fact is, they go on strike. Who cares? We can go back to remote learning.
No, we can't.
You can. Why can't you?
You don't have children understanding this, Candace. That requires me to now officially stay home.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, the workforce would be cut in half because parents would just
manually, automatically. I'm done. I can't go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it a little more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless we could put people back to remote working too. But it can spiral out of control pretty fast.
Yeah. And one-to-one with the teacher and the student doesn't work. It's one of the biggest things that I've noticed with my children is that I have a question, I don't get an answer or a response because I am not allowed to ask a question because the student is seeing 30 individuals in front of their screen. When I teach virtual driver instructing, my cap is 10. I won't teach more than 10 because I can't work with the class anything more than that. So I need a second administrator to watch the comments so they can answer all the questions that come through.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
At DW?
Mm-hmm. I won't do more than 10.
How do they do the simulator? How did they do the simulator through all of that?
Okay, so the simulator comes on in the third week after they get 15 hours in the virtual class and they spend 5 hours on the simulator on a roll-in. So we do it on a 2-night special. For me, I teach evening, so we do we bring them in the classroom for 2.5 and 2.5. And again, no more than 10.
Where are you doing it? On Derry there?
Yeah, on Derry still, yeah. Till that building closes up. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the Go Bus driver still out?
Yes, they are. They'll forget about them. That was a mistake on their behalf at this point because going on strike now, the governments are still dealing with the school system. You don't think they got time to negotiate with Go buses? They'll be on strike all the way till New Year sometime. Sorry. Who's next? Who's else on the list? Right? Who's next to go on strike?
I mean, you're going to see a lot of strikes just for the fact that people can't afford to live anymore. So,
well, you also can't afford to sit and walk a picket back and forth.
True.
But don't they understand that? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they understand that in order for them to get the raises, our taxes have to increase?
Mm-hmm.
And if our taxes increase, their taxes increase, and it's a vicious circle for them because they want more, but then their taxes increase. Then they need more, then their taxes increase. And are they not fueling the fire themselves? Are they not stoking their own pots by saying, we want more, we're entitled to more? And I hate that word entitlement because, Gary, you and I have a dangerous job and me more than you. I don't know about what your wage is, but I haven't gone up in 10 years because as I say, I'm regulated. I can't go and hold a picket and, gets awfully lonely out there. When it's just me, myself, and I,
But you see, but here's the other thing too that's not good is that the fact that our last jobs number came out and we had like 208,000 new jobs. That's nuts. We're at this point where there's so many jobs that job inflation wage spiral thing they've been talking about and the Bank of Canada is worried about. The beginnings of it have already begun.
Agreed.
So we need to,
Well, Ken, you said, what were you saying about Zuckerberg?
He's laying off 11,000 employees, which is 13% of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Meta's in trouble. They've been hemorrhaging so much money
Lately, yes.
Yeah, like they're down since they've changed their name to Meta. They've been down more than 60%.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he'll ever recoup from that.
I don't know. Even Apple today, they had a bad earnings call as well. But that's, they've got so many issues with all of the lockdowns in China and not being able to produce product, and they've have to cut back their iPhones because they just don't have them to make.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a China issue, though.
What happens though if we bring productivity and all of that back into, like, let's work through the scenario here. Let's say we bring those jobs back to North America. What happens to the average price of a phone?
Well, that'll be interesting to see. I know Biden right now wants that. He wants to bring all the chip manufacturing back to the States. And so a lot of chip manufacturers are starting to gear up to do that because that's kind of one of the goals.
Definitely a price
What
increase.
is that going to do? It's going to increase the cost of some of the electronics initially. Because, the reason that China can do it so cheap is that where they're producing for the world, we're talking mass manufacturing on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get to that point in the US, you'll see prices come down. But initially, things will be more expensive before they come down.
Yeah,
What
because they'll
about if
service
we
their own
ask that?
first.
What if we ask that question about pharmaceuticals and bring it back from India and bring it back from overseas and
Well,
stuff?
it'll
And
be
we
the
know-
same thing because we won't be starting off at the scale that they are. We won't have that same mass production. We'll be starting at a smaller scale. It costs more at a smaller scale until we can really ramp that up.
So, well, I'm not going to ask this, but because I may be crossing the personal line, but if someone has group benefits or has a drug plan or whatever the case is, mostly they would pay a dispensing fee, right?
Mhm.
But there are unfortunate people that have to pay the full load. And they just remember what Silver Diamond was saying. She said she had that heart attack and she just said, I can't afford these pills. And it's like, oh my God, like it's hard to imagine that. But if we brought that back in, would that, for that particular group or segment of the population, would that in turn just make them not be able to afford the drugs, or are they already not affording the drugs?
Well, it's hard to say with drugs because I know right now the drugs are much more expensive in the US when it comes to that. Like there used to be an epidemic of Americans coming up into Canada to get their prescriptions just because they could get them much cheaper up here. So the capacity is there, and I think there is a good drug capacity already for manufacturing in the States. So that you probably would take less time for that to stabilize into something more reasonable than for, say, chip manufacturing or some of that type of production.
I heard something, and I don't know if it's true. Maybe you guys heard it too. Biden put a cap on insulin and insulin products at $35 a month.
I would not know.
Did you hear anything about that, Candace?
I know I haven't heard anything, but it does sound like his the type of thing he probably would do.
Why would he do that?
He put a whole bunch of he put caps on different things, different pharmaceuticals. He's like, it's no longer, he said, what the hell did he say now? Insulin was like, it was $10 for the insulin and $5 for the glass vial and the packaging, right?
So that makes sense.
Cost them $15 to make it.
Yeah.
And then the person pays like $400 for the damn thing.
Well, exactly. That's what was going on in the States. There were people actually dying because they couldn't afford insulin.
So I seen a video. I didn't search just to confirm it, but I seen a video about his speech. He made a speech or something about it. He was like, the pharmaceutical company's no longer going to rape our citizens. So I don't know. I'm just wondering if it's true or not.
I'm more concerned
that pharmaceuticals are raping the people. That's
no,
true.
It's true. I don't think it's happened yet, but he's been pushing for it.
I want to know why we're getting less and less child medication.
What's with the Tylenol on the shelves?
Yeah.
Like, what's with that? Like, it's like they're on Facebook. It's like, well, this Shoppers is out of children's Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we need children's? Are the kids get that sick that they need Tylenol? Is that what's going on?
Fever. It's for fevers.
Fevers.
But Jesus, are they that sick? Like, I went into Shoppers, and I don't pay attention to that. And I looked at the Shopper shelf up the street this past Sunday. Sure as shit, it's vacant where the kids' Tylenol is, and I'm like, I haven't heard of a flu going through that. Like, is there a bad flu going through for kids?
This is a supply chain issue on this one.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do as a parent is find out what the milligram is, how many milligrams are in your child stuff. And let's say if it's half the adult, then you could maybe half an adult one, crush it up, put it in some water.
My parents used to do.
Yeah, that's what my parents used to do as well. But that's what you'd have to do. Just use a little bit of math.
Yeah.
If you're really challenged at math, maybe find somebody who isn't and have them calculate how much of the pill.
Yeah, for God's sake, that's what the vet tells you to do for your dog. At least for our two dogs, when they were having allergic reactions, said go. They gave us a printout saying if you go and buy Benadryl or you go and buy this or this or this, and your dog weighs this much, this is how much of a pill you get them at X amount of milligrams. And it was like, okay, and it worked like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I was out for a week.
Yeah, because it's still the same ingredients. You just have to, reduce it based on the body size and.
Well,
that requires people to do math, as you mentioned, Candace.
Well, and the thing to do is all you need to do really is, I mean, just go on Amazon, look up baby Tylenol, and then zoom over the contents, and it will tell you exactly how many milligrams active ingredients are in it.
It sounds so simple, right, Candace?
Yeah, it is pretty simple, but
it sounds, if it's simple, it's hard for everyone else.
But there are a lot of people that would not, they'd be like, what? No, I can't do that. I can't do that. But it's like, you know, do a little math or let your kids suffer. Right? I'd rather do the math personally.
Do you see that someone won that Powerball of $2.04 billion?
Someone in California.
Yep, in the Golden State. And they're going to take home, after Uncle Sam takes his taxes, just shy of $1 billion. Or they can choose to do a pre-tax lump sum, rather than an annuity over 30 years. Yeah. You're dead in 30 years.
And here's the thing. If you're ever in that situation, take that tax-free annuity, take the batch, just take the batch and invest it, and you'll make more than what you would make if you did the whole 30-year thing. The math is actually in your favor to take the lump sum. I think in the case of this one, they're probably looking at, after taxes and everything, they might have about 7 million or so that they can then invest. And the amount that they would be pulling off, that they could live comfortably for the rest of their lives, no worries.
I have an interest, it's actually a dumb question. Candace, where do you buy bonds, and how long do bonds mature for? I know nothing about bonds.
There's different time frames. So you normally would buy them through your bank, or, you know, things like, for example, if I go onto EQ Bank, I have options for bonds. They usually call them GICs, so guaranteed income certificate, but that is a bond.
Okay.
And you just choose your term, and each term will have a different interest rate.
Okay.
And Saturday's video is going to be about bonds too, by the way. Just throw that out there.
I'll wait and check it out then. I'll
just break all that down for people about bonds and stuff.
I've never bought a bond. Out of all the things that I've done and invested, never bought any bonds. I always thought they were like little certificates you get in, like you carry or hold.
They used to be.
Oh, okay. So I was right. All right.
Long time ago. But now everything's electronic.
It's not the same. I want to hold the tangible bond.
Here's something interesting. How did Candace, or does anyone? No one gets the daily upside, right?
I get a bunch of them. I don't know which one I get.
How did this? So here's the title. How did this hedge fund return 66% per year? Renaissance Technologies flagship medallion fund returned over 66% from 1988 to 2018. That means $1 invested would have grown to over $20,000, while $1 invested in the S&P 500 would be worth $20. In fact, in 2008, when the S&P 500 lost 37%, the medallion fund gained 82%. Unlike traditional funds, Renaissance is run by hundreds of computer scientists, mathematicians, and neural engineers that specialize in quantitative trading. Wow. So how can you invest in the medallion? Oh, hang on before I say that. Yeah. Interesting. I never knew about that. Renaissance Technologies.
There's lots of ways to make insane returns.
At a risk.
But yeah, there's always risks. Absolutely. Wow. You know, like, for example, if at the beginning of the bear market, you had sunk a whole bunch into an inverse S&P, you'd have made a lot of money this year.
Or bought as much oil as you could back in 2008 when they were just practically giving it away for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
See, that's something I never understood, is that if we talk about commodities, how come we're not allowed to? Because a commodity, correct me if I'm wrong, commodities, we can go in and we could buy bananas right now at this price, today's price for next year, right? Or wrong?
Well, I don't know about next year. I've never really tried to buy bananas on commodities, so I'm not sure how that's set up. And nobody probably believes that I haven't tried to buy bananas, but
But you
have.
understand what I'm
I
saying?
can't believe we're talking about this.
But commodities, come on. I mean, you can buy something at this year's price based on your estimate of what it's going to be for next season. Isn't that how people do it with crops and stuff?
Yeah, no, you can absolutely. I mean,
How come we can't do that with gas?
well, it's the volatility.
Yeah.
Well,
The
potatoes are
price on
volatile.
some commodities is pretty standard. Like they have a good idea. Gas, you don't know. There's just too many X factors when it comes to gas.
We're just relying on various countries are shutting down and opening up on a continuous basis. That's got something to do with it as well, right?
I mean, and
China is dictating a lot of things, or moving the pendulum in 3 different directions. It looks like these days.
Oh yeah, no. China came in and said we don't need that much oil anymore, and that just absolutely tanked the price of oil today.
Yep.
Like we're talking. Just yesterday, at the beginning of the day, oil was selling at about $93 a barrel, and today it was down around $85 a barrel.
Mm-hmm. It's nuts.
It's interesting that we haven't heard much. I haven't heard much lately about this being the time to amass or start to amass silver and gold.
Now, gold's been doing well.
Is it? Because it's been down again.
Well, it just depends on. I've seen gold coming up. Gold has been having a lot of different surges. So compared to silver, of course, gold is doing fantastic. But I think gold still is a hedge of value. It is still a safe bet. Like it'll always rebound. So gold is something I don't want to say bullish on. I'm pretty neutral on it, but I definitely see it as a safe investment.
Own zero.
And I know one gold ETF out there that's actually pretty good. I think it's called XGD. And they're better than going out and say buying a company like Barrick Gold, because a lot of the companies are just horrible, but the actual gold itself has been doing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, interesting. So what do you got going on? We're at an hour. What's going on in your world, Gary, for the rest of this week? You doing any long broadcasts or anything like that?
I wish I had more time on my plate to be able to do less and less, to be honest with you. I went working 3 days a week through the summer to now working 6.5 or 7. The contracts are just busting at the seams.
That's good.
There are various corporations and companies we're working with that we're hiring 75 drivers a week. And it's just there's only one of me. Let's just put it that way. So
is that DW?
Well, no, DW. Well, their contracts is with DW, yes. But,
okay.
Yeah. But they got me at on site at various locations throughout Ontario, and so I'm working at one location right now, and I can't believe that they continue to send me there each and every day for 10 hours a day.
Have they got the mobile sim there?
No. This is just assessments. They said these are pre-hired drivers already. That we're just training them to get them up on par.
Did you ever pick up the contract on Garter World Mobile?
No. I mean, no. I can't say too much on here. So
no, I understand. I get it. I get it. And Candace, I kind of know what you're doing, but what are you doing?
Well, yeah, it's always the same, right? Tomorrow I got a deep dive on diversity royalty. So that's ticker DIV. So they're basically a nice small stock with a pretty big dividend attached to them. Saturday, as I mentioned, going to be doing a bond video talking just about how you can utilize bonds, what they are, how they work, and how they can predict recessions.
Okay.
And then we'll be back again Monday with another list video, and I'll be back here next week too.
Have you had any more sort of community requests for deep dives?
I am always getting requests. Actually, the funny thing is, I was in the chat over on Create, Save, and Invest, and that's where the DIV request came from. Somebody in that one wanted a DIV deep dive, and I said, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Good.
So yeah, no, I get requests all the time. I have a whiteboard where I just write them down. Now there are requests right now. There's 3 that are sitting there that are outstanding, but it just comes down to what I feel is the best fit that week. So I still always get to the requests, but sometimes you may not get your request the week that you requested. It might be somebody else's request.
Here's a question for you, and this is kind of a crazy thing, but I got surfing for stocks one day, and I actually looked up, and I forget what the ticker was, but it was one of the largest funeral home chains in the United States, and I thought, but during the pandemic,
funerals.
What's that?
Well, funerals, they put the fun in your portfolio because it's a thriving business.
Yeah,
Baby boomers are dropping.
Well,
there's more demand for it, so it's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, silent returns, but it's
it's a business people are dying to get into.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. But
I can't with you two now. Now there's 2 of them, Ken. Yeah. It's getting a little much now.
But even the casket makers like Victoriaville and stuff like that, like because Victoriaville was hockey sticks as well, you know. But I just got thinking the other night, and I thought, you know, like concrete companies and stuff like that. I mean, with all this, we've got to have more houses and stuff, and the building that's going on downtown Toronto.
Yeah, materials are a safe venue right now.
Lumber.
You still liking your railway stocks?
Oh, I love my railway stocks. Who moves all that material around? I mean, it's the cheapest way to move stuff across the country is railroad. So, you know, I've got, like I said, I've got my fingers in 3 of them. So,
And Ken, what do you got?
No comment. No comment.
Okay. He's there.
In the dark.
He's in the dark. He's keeping us in the dark. Yes, he's keeping us in the dark.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks. What's that?
Just like the Undertaker, right?
Oh, jeez. Here we are going back.
It's like the boogeyman phoning in the job, you know?
Anyhow.
Anyhow. That's a kind way of saying move on. Well, that's good. Well, I appreciate everyone.
Ken might actually be asleep in the house or just speaking through a microphone, and one of his kids is just wearing the hoodie and holding up a little mic.
That's true.
No, it's not.
So after arguing for an hour with a man who said I was sitting in his seat, he finally said, "Okay, you fly the plane."
There we go.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. And I think Nancy's back next week.
Fantastic. That'd be great.
Cool. I think she is.
Something to look forward to.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Yeah. I got the odds on Vegas that it'll be me again, but you know. Anyway, folks, stay safe. See y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Gary, Candace, and Ken.
Thank you.
Adios, amigos. We'll be back.